remember that rumor that was going around that Donald J. Trump, the president, is like all over the Epstein files? Joe Rogan remembers. Now, as a white, straight 30-something male, I am genetically predisposed to liking Joe Rogan. I might not often agree with him politically or philosophically or spiritually or intellectually, but there's just something about watching a guy who knows almost nothing about almost anything talk about everything and just be like, whoa, he's sort of like the McDonald's Big Mac of my media diet. I don't have him often, and it's usually after I become intoxicated, and I regret it shortly after. Speaking of intoxication, though, y'all, I am hopped up on hopium today, okay? Because it looks like maybe, just maybe, the right-wing podcast ecosphere, of which Rogan is the crown champion, might not be letting this whole Epstein thing get forgotten.
They're trying very hard to get away with this one. I don't know if the people are going to forget.
People are never going to forget. The problem is, do we have any power? What do we do? What do you do? You definitely can change the way you vote, like if it comes up again. But the problem is, this is a bipartisan issue.
It's a bipartisan. It's not. I don't know. I heard as a Democratic hoax.
Yeah. I don't think that's true.
How is this not all over the news right now? Joe Rogan just admitted to not believing in something. This is the same guy who had Terrence Howard on his podcast to talk about how 1 times 1 equals 2. It doesn't. 1 times 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 times 1 is 1 because it's one time. But now it takes Donald Trump to actually trigger Joe Rogan's skepticism. Way to go, Joe. And also shout out to Jesse Wells, one of the few people out there, I think, who is making truly subversive art. So let's watch a little more of this conversation between Joe Rogan and enjoy the soothing sounds of Jesse's voice.
Well, it's certainly not a hoax if you go to jail. Certainly not a hoax if Ghislaine Maxwell's in jail, too. So, like, she's in jail for sex trafficking. Excuse me. She's in jail for sex trafficking. But the question is, to who? Who's she in jail? You have to be sex trafficking to somebody in order to go to jail, right?
Yeah.
So who? How's that work? She's been in jail for years. So, like, how's that work?
Is she looking at a pardon? Are they gonna?
I don't know, but they just moved her to another prison.
They moved.
It's supposed to be a nice prison, as far as prisons go.
They moved her to kill her.
Could be. But why would you waste the money to move someone if you wanted to kill them? I'm sure they could kill her pretty easy.
I don't.
Okay. First of all, I love how Joe Rogan is talking about sex trafficking like he's thinking of dabbling in it, or like he's talking to somebody who does it at an airport bar. He's just like, so how does it work? Where do you send them? Where do you put them? You got to send them somewhere, right? So is it part-time, full-time? Are there benefits? Probably independent contract. You 1080 is it more of a 1080? You probably have to do you can't, how do you claim it? Even just tax-wise, I'm just curious, but whatever. Joe may be dumb, but he's not how Trump views his own base dumb. And that's an important distinction. However, Joe Rogan's reach, while massive, doesn't reach everybody. There are people who actually don't like Joe Rogan. In fact, there's a few of them. And so at least when it comes to these suburban moms out there, the suburban liberal Democrat moms who don't like Joe Rogan, well, folks, that's why we have Pete Buttigieg. Take it away, Pete.
He made this big deal about, I'm going to come in and we're going to release these on day one. There was that event with Pam Bondi waving around the binders. Still don't know what the hell was in these binders. But they went so much further than just saying, like, oh, yeah, I'll do the right thing on that. The same way he's saying, like, I'm going to bring peace to the Middle East or whatever. Maybe even his supporters didn't actually believe him on that. Yeah. But on this, I think they believed him because he said he would.
He created that paper trail for it.
Yeah, and that whole worldview is based on this idea that there are powerful people who were involved with Jeffrey Epstein, and he was going to fight them. But we all know for a fact that there were powerful people who were involved with Jeffrey Epstein, and he was one of them. This is not a controversial or complicated fact. There's
objective statement.
Yeah, and it's not just footage of them like having their picture taken together someplace. It's footage of them like ogling women together, and dancing and So you add all of that together, and I think, and then his response to the response has revealed how gullible he wants to think his own base is. And I think a lot of people look at that and say, wait a minute, this is not just like you insulting the libs, which you know some of his supporters thrilled to. It's his supporters saying, "Wait a minute, you're insulting me."
Some have argued that much of the loyalty bestowed upon Trump by his base is the product of the Democratic Party's inability to connect with the working class in any meaningful or material way, and choosing instead to campaign on moral purity and intellectual elitism. But Buttigieg can't be an elitist. Look at that beard. I mean, yeah, that's a working man. Silver fox. Actually, I do kind of think of Rogan and Buttigieg as two sides of the same coin. I have serious criticisms of both of them, but I just can't help but like them. And so when they start aligning like this, it's like a solar eclipse where I become blinded by my own desire to just like hang out with them. I know I'm not proud of it either, but it's who I am. Okay, but enough daydreaming. This is a serious, dark topic. So why don't we bring in someone whose job isn't to just, talk all day? Let's bring in someone actually involved in the situation. How about Alicia Arden, an actual survivor of Epstein, to hear what she has to say about Ghislaine Maxwell's recent transfer to a different prison?
Well, I think that she should be moved back to the facility where she was, and that's where she's serving her time. Why should she be moved to a lower facility with not as much protection? And is it more freedom there? No, she should be moved back to the one that she was at and served the 20 years there. She was convicted of sex trafficking of children. So why shouldn't she be there? And it's also interesting. I've always wondered, why is she the only one currently in prison? And who are these other alleged pedophiles? And should they be eventually serving their time if they allegedly were doing something wrong?
Are allegedly is like negatives? Like if you have two of them, do they cancel each other out and it becomes like a, you know what I mean? Like if I allegedly stole your car, then like I for sure probably I stole your car. If I allegedly did it. Point being, I think the situation here is such that everyone is seeing the writing on the prison cell walls, where whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat or someone who is actually involved in the situation, everyone is going, hey, why are you moving the child sex trafficker to a nicer prison while having meetings on behalf of the president? Because it looks weird, allegedly.
I believe that there is a wink and a nod, and that all parties understand what the goal is here. And the goal is to distract from the Epstein files, to create a shiny new object who has nothing to lose other than a pardon and clemency. She has every incentive to testify favorably for Donald Trump because he holds all the keys to her freedom. And this is someone who has been convicted of perjury. So there's a clear understanding as to what she needs to do and what the possible rewards are. And this transfer is just an indication of the power that Donald Trump and Todd Blanche have to be able to reward her favorable testimony.
That was Congressman Daniel Goldman describing what we're all seeing. And isn't it nice that amidst all the chaos in the world right now, a story as dark and tragic as this can actually bring us all together, allegedly? But it's like how Joe Rogan said, what can we even do about it? This is like a conspiracy theory that's taking place in broad daylight, where the only reason to doubt it is because of how brazen it is. We like to think of conspiracy theories as taking place in the shadows, but this administration seems to think that they can't get caught with their pants down so long as they never pull them up in the first place. So here's Michael Wolff with his story about what did take place in the shadows with Jeffrey Epstein. And like Donald Trump, it's not pretty.
I urged Epstein. I said, you should release these pictures. I mean, if for no other reason, and Epstein was already in trouble and already a figure which people were, he was already demonized. I said, maybe this will even help you. You can be on the side of right here. And I remember Epstein said, again, chilling at the time, he said, I may be a pervert, but I'm not crazy. And then he said, Trump is a man without any scruples.
Now, it's up to you whether you take someone like Michael Wolff seriously. I personally find it valuable to take everything he says with a grain of salt. That said, yeah, I'm starting to think Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Yeah, that just feels good to say. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. But also, like, for sure, maybe he didn't, right? Like, maybe he just didn't. And that's, and if he didn't, maybe that's something to actually kind of think about, because this is bad for the Trump administration, no matter how you slice it. And by it, I mean their Achilles heel, because when you have people like Joe Rogan on the right, along with all of these other bros in that podcast ecosystem who are regretting their votes, and you have survivors of Epstein, and you have actual politicians and actual journalists all looking at this one issue and going, hey, not only is something going on here, but you're treating us like we're stupid. Then there is only one conclusion to draw, which is that the emperor does not have any clothes. He is naked, and he shouldn't be. He should put some clothes on. This administration needs to put some clothes on, and Trump needs to put the clothes, because everyone can see him. You know what I mean? This is like this is the emperor's clothes. I was thinking of the Disney movie there for a second, Emperor's New Groove. This is like the Emperor's New Clothes, except it's grosser, because we all saw the South Park episode, and that wasn't art, or that wasn't life imitating art. That was art imitating life. He doesn't have any clothes on, and it's becoming incredibly apparent. It's actually transparent if you think about it, because you can see too much. It's like, come on, man, you guys used to be so much better at lying. Anyway, I don't know. I'm ranting, and forgive me. Let me know what you think allegedly is going on in the comments. Allegedly. And I will see you next week. I am wearing clothes, by the way, because my wife says I quote unquote should.